Today was the first day where you had to come into class and show me that you're ready to get started right away. So just as a routine, you want to have your homework out and your pen out to check your own work and have your book open to the pages for the where you of the homework that you did, which last night was pages 2 to 3. You want to make sure you have your binder ready with paper out for your class notes to do the starter for today. So that's just a routine. Homework out with your pen, open your book, and be ready to either take some notes or do some work, a place to write down data, whatever we're going to do for today to do your starter. So we did correct your homework for the first time today, and it was just really about learning about your book. So just as another routine, when you get it right, you just put a check mark next to it. If you miss it, you just circle the number that you missed and you write in the correct answers. You can always go back later and make sure that you know how to get that answer. And when you try to redo a problem that you've missed, you know what the right answer is. And then at the end, we always put the number you got right out of the total, and not the number you missed, but the number you got right, just to be more positive. So we really got started in class today with this class starter. And I asked you to name as many different kinds of numbers that your group could think of that you could see in a newspaper. And you guys came up with lots of numbers that really weren't different kinds of numbers. But eventually we got to decimals and fractions and percents and numbers, whole numbers and counting numbers. And then I said, I wanted you to imagine a day without numbers. What would be really hard? What challenges would you have? And you had to think of three. And then we spent 10 minutes playing charades, and you acted out some of your ways, and other people tried to guess. And you guys came up with great examples. We wouldn't be able to buy food. We wouldn't be able to use our phone. We wouldn't know what time it is. We wouldn't know the speed limit. And you came up with several different really excellent uses for numbers that really makes us see the importance of them. So in this first chapter, just this first whole chapter is all about reading and writing numbers. So we talked about the symbol zero today and what culture first came up with this symbol for zero and why is it important. And you guys did a little hunt to see, look through pages 4 to 5 to see if you could figure out the answer to that question. And you had some great guesses. Some of you thought it was the Greeks, some thought it was the Egyptians, and you can tell you guys all know a little bit about which cultures were actually really good at math. But the Mayans were actually the ones to come up with the first symbol for zero way back in 300 CE. So this is 300 after the birth of Christ, so the Common Era, 300 years after that. So we're talking about 1700 years ago. So the symbol zero has been around for a long time. And then which culture first used a decimal system for numbers? And it was the Hindus. And then 300 years later, an Italian, Leonardo of Pisa, actually translated those Hindu numbers into Latin. And eventually over time, and you can see the chart on page 5 that shows you how our digits, our numbers changed over time. But eventually over time, we came up with the 10 digits we have today, and that's why the number system we use is called a decimal system. Deci means a tenth. Think of numbers that have DEC, like a decade is 10 years, a decagon is a polygon with 10 sides. There are many words. So base 10 is called that because we have 10 different digits, 0 through 9. So 0 through 4 is 5 digits, 5 through 9 is 5 more. So we have 10 different digits that we use to make up any combination of decimals. So the decimal system is our whole system of place value. And we reviewed that today. We reviewed the ones period, the thousands period, the millions, the billions, the trillions, and then the decimal point, and then parts of a whole. So the whole decimal system that we use is one thing that we just reviewed today, and historical. And then based on what you learned about how to use your book last class, we looked at what the big idea for today was. This is all on page 6, and the vocabulary of the day, and the mental math we did, and the quiz yourself questions we did. So make sure you focus on those parts of the lesson in your book just to make sure you're understanding all the content that you need to learn. You tried writing this number. A few of you had a little bit of trouble with 26,000. You've got to put a 0 in that placeholder because we don't have any 100,000s. And this was just 14. We don't have any hundreds. And that's the power of that symbol 0 that the Mayans created. And then we just talked about, is this number 9,026,014 a decimal? Yes, it is. We don't have to put a decimal point and a 0 there. We know that it is a whole number, but it's also a decimal. We could put 0.0. That doesn't change it. So it's still a decimal. It is a count. I could count 9,026,014 pencils if I wanted to. It is a whole number. Remember, whole numbers start with 0, 1, 2, 3, and you just keep adding 1, and they just grow and grow and grow infinitely, and they never end. And we could use this number to identify. It could be the number on my school ID tag. And we looked at some different uses of number on page 7. There are lots of uses of numbers, and they made sense to all of you. And then I gave you a newspaper, and we looked at different ways that newspaper use numbers. And you had to represent the number 128 in several different ways. As a fraction, you had to put it over 1. As a percent, we talked about, if I ate a whole pizza, I ate 100%. If I ate 2 pizzas, I ate 200%. If I ate 3 pizzas, I ate 300%. What's the pattern to get from the number to the percent? And I think Anna said it. Yeah, you have to tack on those 2 zeros, which really is multiplying it by 100, because you're putting in a symbol that means out of 100. So if I put this over 100, which is what percent means, I can divide them both by 100, and I get back to my 128 over 1, which is 128. Some of you were thinking that you could just put 128 over 1,000, and that would equal 128, but no, that's a fraction less than 1. So that's very small. All right, and then for homework, you just have a little bit to do, pages 8 and 9. If you choose to do the basic assignment, that's fine. So what these symbols mean is that you're going to start on number 1 and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 1 through 8. The semicolon means then you skip to number 12. So you do not do 9, 10, and 11. After number 8, you do 12, 13, 14. Then you skip, and after number 14, you do 18 and 19. And that's the basic assignment. The challenge assignment, if you want to do a little bit more and a little bit more of a challenging assignment, is just numbers 5 through 20. So you may choose either assignment, but make sure you do every problem. All right, and you showed me your planner with your assignment choice written in it, and I had you all put it on your paper, and you were set. So have a great weekend, and I'll see that homework in class on next class.